Hi, Shane here. You're watching Sam for God, and this is Mark. Check her out.
So hi guys, how you doing? Now as you know, we're in 2016 now, which is crazy. I can't believe we're in like the second week of January now. And one thing that I wanted to do in 2015, and you might have seen in my goals for 2015 video that I posted about a year ago, was to watch more films. Because in 2014 one of my friends set up this like film club thing at work, and we went every week and stuff, and it just reminded me of how much I actually love watching films, especially at the cinema. So I wanted to make a conscious decision to go and see more films in the cinema in 2015, and I think I managed to do that. I mean, in 2015 I saw 20 films in the cinema, and 2 of those films I saw twice, so I actually went to the cinema 22 times. That's crazy. That's a lot for me. Normally I wouldn't go more than like 5 times a year. So I thought in this video I'd tell you my top 5 films that I saw in 2015, because you might find it interesting, and you know, films are easier to watch anyway because they come on DVD and you can like buy them later on or rent them and watch them that way. And I just thought you might like to see what I thought of the films that came out in 2015. So before I go into my favourites though, let me just give you a list of the films that I did see in 2015. So I saw The Imitation Game, Into the Woods, Whiplash, The Theory of Everything, Big Hero 6, Still Alice, Cinderella, Far From the Madding Crowd, The Martian, Inside Out, Suffragette, Brooklyn, Carol, Minions, The Good Dinosaur, Jurassic World, Mockingjay Part 2, In the Heart of the Sea, Sisters, and last but not least, The Choir, also known as Boy Choir in the US for some reason. So that's my list of films that I saw in 2015 in the cinema. I may have actually forgotten a few, but I don't think I have. If I have, I'll just leave them down in the comments or something. Now the 2 films that I went to the cinema twice to see are Inside Out and Big Hero 6, unsurprisingly. I just love Disney, and Disney films just make me want to go and watch them again. Anyway, before I tell you my top 5 list, I do want to give a few honourable mentions, if you like, to a few films that I really liked, but they just didn't make it into my top 5. Those films include Far From the Madding Crowd, starring Carey Mulligan. I loved it. I saw it like in the summer of 2015, and it was just like a really nice kind of Victorian, like old school, like lovey kind of film. It was a cute film, and obviously I love Carey Mulligan, so you know, I just love seeing her in that film. The next one is Brooklyn, which is an Irish film. It has a lot of Irish actors in it. Saoirse is the main actress in it who plays the lead role, and she was fantastic. And again, this film was just a film that made me feel very content and happy with life. It was a very cute film. I really wanted to make a review on it, but I just didn't get around to it. But I just really liked it. It was a film that made me hopeful for humanity and stuff. It was a very beautifully shot film. I love the Irish accents in it, and it's about a girl who leaves her country to go to Brooklyn, to America. And yeah, it's just like about how difficult it kind of is to adapt to a new life and stuff. And for that reason I kind of related to it, because I've moved around a lot, and it was just very cute. And the next one is The Imitation Game, starring Benedict Cumberbatch. I actually saw this film back in January of last year. It was the first film of 2015 for me actually, and I saw it with my dad, and I loved it. It was like a very interesting, fascinating insight into what happened, and it's the story of Alan Turing and how he created the Enigma, if you didn't know, and it was just very interesting to learn about it. And I thought Benedict Cumberbatch was fantastic in it. I kind of wish he won an Oscar for it, because he was really good. Anyway, those were my honourable mentions, films that I really liked and loved and I would definitely watch again, but they just didn't make it into my top 5. Now let's get to my actual top 5. Now at number 5 we've got Carol. Now Carol was one of the films I saw towards the end of 2015. I actually saw it sometime during Vlogmas, so you can watch my vlog of going to see it if you want. I think it was day 1, and I went to see it because the trailer like fascinated me. I saw the trailer for it before I saw Brooklyn in the cinema, and I was like, this is amazing. Then I like read some reviews about it and everyone was raving about it, so I was like, I want to go and see this. Luckily my friend Lisa also really wanted to see it, so we went together, and it was great. It was a really good film. It was one that made me think a lot. Like you can probably see it in the vlog, but like after I saw the film, it took me a while to understand what the film was about and stuff, because mainly it's about 2 people falling in love, like 2 women falling in love. And at first I was like, well, obviously that's not the only thing about the film. There's so much more to it, and in fact there's so much to it that's why it took me a while, I guess, to understand what it actually meant. But the love story itself is told so beautifully, and it's so pure as well. It's a very interesting way of telling like a lesbian, if you like, love story. I'd never watched any lesbian films before. This was my first time watching like a lesbian couple or like love story on screen, and I thought it was done really well. Cate Blanchett was fantastic, but so was the other girl whose name I can't remember, the girl playing like her love interest. They were just it was a really beautiful film. It's a film that's like stayed with me since. I mean, I saw it like about a month ago and it's just stayed with me since, and the music in it was great. I thought I loved the subtlety of acting in it. I felt like the story was told in a very gradual and subtle way, which I really liked. It felt very real. The scenes were great. It was a good film and I think you should go and watch it. Number 4 is Big Hero 6. I know that Big Hero 6 technically came out in like at the end of 2014, but that's only in America, okay? In England, we didn't get the film until February of 2015, so I saw it in 2015, so I count it as a 2015 film. I loved Big Hero 6. I remember I saw it twice in the cinema, and I've seen it like loads of times since, but the first time I saw it in the cinema, I was like laughing and crying so much. It was like ridiculous. I was laughing like full on lolling, and then like the next minute I was crying because it was just, Baymax's character is fantastic, and Hero himself as well, and like Tadashi. It's a great film. I loved it. I think I'd go as far as saying I prefer it to Frozen, which I love Frozen a lot. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not one of those people who are like, no, Frozen's like overrated. I love Frozen, but I just think there's something about Big Hero 6 that just makes it a bit more special to me, and Baymax's character, he's one of my favourite Disney characters of all time. Anyway, at number 3, I put Suffragette. The Suffragette is a film that I saw in October of 2015. It was very well hyped actually before it came out because it's about a very important part of history. Again, this was one of the films that when I saw the trailer for it back in like May of 2015, I was like, oh my god, this looks amazing, I need to see this. And so when it came out, again, me and my friend Lisa went to see it because for some reason me and her seem to be on the same wavelength when it comes to like films and stuff. So that's good because I always have someone to go to the cinema with when I want to see like films that not many people are interested in. But yeah, the whole cinema experience was amazing because 99% of the people in the cinema were women, which I thought was great, like, because it's a story about women and the power of women, and it was just nice that so many women were there together. It just felt really nice. But the film itself is quite sad, like, I cried a bit. It's not a happy story, but it's also a story that gives you hope, like, because of what those women did. It's like how they fought basically for our right to vote and stuff, and I learned so much you know, watching that film again, like, and it made me kind of sad that there are still like one thing that I learned, and I've said it in my Suffragette review, is that like Switzerland, which is the country that I was born in, didn't allow women to vote until like the 1970s. That's ridiculous, and it made me so sad, and it made me sad that there's still things like that happening. Like, the fight isn't over yet. Like, yeah, basically it was a good film. It wasn't like a film that I'd want to watch again to feel good, because it just, obviously it wasn't a feel good film. Like Brooklyn, for instance, was like a film that made me really happy. Suffragette was like a very, no, I don't want to say depressing, but it was a very sad kind of film. It was like quite grey, like the scenery wasn't like colourful or amazing or anything, but it was very well acted. I mean, Carey Mulligan was in it, Helena Bonham Carter, great cast. Also Meryl Streep was in it, although she was in it very like tinily, but she was still in it and her scene was amazing. It was just a really good film. Like, it's a film that I think everyone should watch, especially if you're a woman. You need to watch this film. It's a very important film. It's a film that I'll be going back to in the future, and I'll be showing my friends, my daughter one day, who knows. At number 2, I've put Whiplash. Whiplash I saw back in February of 2015, and I think it may be one of my favourite films of all time. I loved that film. It was like, it stayed with me since. I haven't watched it since, believe it or not. I've only watched it that one time in the cinema, but I still remember everything from the film, and like, it still makes me think, it still affects me. It was such an intense film. Basically, if you don't know, it's about a boy, a drummer, whose dream is to become like a drummer. Basically, he's a drummer, but he wants to become a professional drummer, and he goes to this like, he goes to the most amazing, like, best school ever, best music school in America, and he wants to try his best to succeed. And he's got this like mentor in a way, but like a drumming teacher, music teacher, who is just a little bit intense and is a bit different to most teachers. And it was just so interesting. I mean, the whole story is mainly about them two, the boy and the teacher, and like, my heart was like psh, the whole time throughout the film. And it's a story about passion more than anything. Like, you don't have to be a drummer or appreciate drumming to enjoy the film. If you have a passion in life and you really want to succeed in that, I think you'll enjoy it, because it's just the dedication that the guy put into it. And I don't know, it just basically, it made me feel so many feelings. Like, oh, I love Whiplash. I thought it was shot beautifully. The acting in it was amazing. Honestly, I think it's one of my personal favourite films ever. Miles Teller, who was the drumming guy, one of the lead characters, was fantastic. It was my first time, I think, seeing him in anything, and he did an excellent job. So did J.K. Simmons, obviously, as a teacher. I mean, I just have no words for it. Please go and see Whiplash if you can, and if you do, please let me know what you think of it, because it's like a one of a kind film, in my opinion. You won't see anything like it again, not anytime soon, in my opinion, anyway. And yeah, finally, we're down to my number one, which I think probably won't come as a huge shock to you, but my number one favourite film of 2015 was Inside Out. I absolutely adored Inside Out. Like, it's crazy. I think it might actually be one of my favourite Pixar films of all time now. It's up there. It's definitely up there with Toy Story. It hasn't beaten Toy Story yet, because Toy Story will always be my number one, but wow. I mean, I've always had high expectations of Pixar and stuff, but who knew they could come up with something like this? I know the story isn't like completely original. I know it's not the first time someone's done something like this, but it's the way it's done that matters for me. And I mean, all the characters, joy, sadness, anger, like disgust. It's just such a clever film, so nicely told. The colours in it, the animation in it, the casting, the voice actors, everything about it is, for me, in my opinion, perfection. Honestly, I can't like praise it enough. I mean, it's telling that a film like that, I saw so many films basically in 2015, and yet my favourite film, my number one film, is like an animation film, a Pixar film. And I genuinely think it's the best film of 2015. I haven't just put it there because I love Disney and stuff. I thought about my choices like a lot, and I just genuinely think it's the best one. It's got an amazing story, a lot of heart, you know, it makes you laugh, it makes you cry, it's beautiful, like, I love it, and I'm sure you all agree with me because a lot of you are Disney fans and you probably have all seen Inside Out. So yeah guys, that's it. That's my top 5 films of 2015. I hope you enjoyed it, and please leave comments down below and let me know what your top 5 would be, or what your favourite film of 2015 was if you didn't see too many films. I'm so glad that I got to see so many films in 2015, and you know, most of them I really enjoyed. There wasn't very many that I didn't like, apart from I think one that I didn't like, Jurassic World. That wasn't very good at all, soz. But yeah, most of the films I really enjoyed, and even if I didn't like particularly love them, it was still good to see them, and I hope to continue this cinema going in 2016. I mean, I've already seen one film in the cinema, and it's only like the 6th or 7th of January. So yeah, hopefully 2016 is going to be an even bigger year for me, going to cinema and seeing more films and stuff. I'm so excited. There's so many like great films coming out this year, including Finding Dory, which is going to be amazing. I'm hoping to see The Danish Girl soon, like in a few days. So it's all going to be good times. And yeah, that is pretty much it for me. Leave comments down below as always if you want, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!